Way too many people have been telling me to check out the Axiom Crave, so I went to my closet, took this bad boy out, and today we're gonna see if it's worth the hype. I have no idea the flight numbers, so I'm just gonna try to take this unconventional gap that I never take. Oh, I threw that so bad. Don't worry, this video isn't gonna be a bunch of shitty throws. I hate disc reviews. Personally, never understood why I should believe some dude with bad form and how a disc is supposed to fly for me. I'm gonna show you one reason that missed. Right there. Not to say my form is any good, but I'm just saying I felt like 90% of them were pretty bad representations in how the disc was going to fly, at least for my experience. So this isn't a review, rather this is you guys listening to my out loud thoughts as I talk through my journey with the Axiom Crave. The Crave has a lower profile, board flat on top. It feels good in the hand for smaller hand players, which that helps out a lot. The Crave did feel good for both power and fan grip, although I felt myself leaning more towards the power grip at first. The only issue with this style of throwing was no world in which I throw a Crave on this hole, by the way. Yeah, this hole's like 200 feet. Yeah, there are times when I'm forcing this disc on holes which I would never throw that type of disc. Some would see that as a negative. I choose to see it differently, however. Instead, it's allowing me to fully understand the disc. Sure, I can go into an open field and throw it hundreds of times, but does that really replicate on the course scenarios? Nice little S flight with not a whole lot of power. That's finally what I thought the Crave would fly like. I think I hate neutron plastic. I don't know if this is old or this is what it feels like now, but it is so damn slippery. It's time to talk about the plastic. I am not a fan. For some reason, it felt slippery. At one point, I even said this. I feel like it takes me an extra 15 seconds just to get comfortable with this slippery ass plastic. Every time I tried to fan grip, I felt like your mom's panties when she looks at my discs. Those moms definitely hurt their head after they saw that big ass putt, which they should. That might have been too far, but still, I couldn't get comfortable. Now this could have been the plastic, or it could be that this disc hasn't been used since 2018 and has been sitting in the trunk of the JK Mobile for this entire time. Every fucking hole is a raging headwind and it's so annoying. I should mention the day I was throwing this was super windy. There's like a 25-mile-per-hour headwind that has not stopped in the last 2 minutes, and I don't want to throw the Crave into it because I don't think it's going to react like I should, but I'm not waiting anymore. It did make me realize that the Crave is not super flippy. In my head, I kept thinking this thing was so understable. Headwind definitely turned it over and didn't want it to come back, but it didn't turn into a roller that I was expecting. Oh, look at that, another raging fucking headwind. I think the constant headwind I was throwing into messed up my perception of this disc. Come on though, look at how that wind was moving that disc. A destroyer would be flipping like a penguin in this. Dude, I put that on so much hyzer, it's crazy. I will say when the wind isn't kicking the shit out of my disc like a dead horse, it does have a slight turn out the hand with a reliable fade at the end for that picture perfect S. It always wants to give a nice little turn and a reliable fade at the end. I can see why slower arms or shots want to power down. It can be very useful, especially to get around trees or in tight wooded situations. I'm going to start it all the way to the left, and this wind is just going to turn it over and flip it all the way to the right. One of those discs that you can slow down so much on, and it helps navigate through the tight fairways. Fuck this wind, bro. On God. You didn't think I was a one-round chump, did ya? Nah, there's some more science to do before we can get some accurate results. Another thing I don't like about typical disc reviews is either they only throw it in the field a couple times, and then they're trying to pretend like they know all the nuances of the thing, but in reality, they've thrown less than if they would have played an 18-hole round with it. Or they actually did play multiple rounds with it, but never showed it. What's the point? So here's another round with this thing, in a lot calmer conditions this time. This is when I started to notice how stable the Crave actually was once there was no wind. It's so much more stable than I give it credit for, every time. Although it did feel touchier when I powered up on it. How are you flippy? Dude, I don't get how it turns flippy, but not sometimes. It's crazy. Sometimes flipping with no sign of ever coming back, while I let off the gas and all of a sudden it's a fucking Firebird. Okay, not that bad, but you get what I mean. Not sure what people really use the Crave for. I throw it like a bitch. I decided to try it out on Forehand. Even though the Forehand feels absolutely atrocious with the Crave, I'm gonna try it out for science. I can't tell if it's the plastic that I don't like or the hand feel, to be honest. It doesn't feel horrible in the hand. Didn't come out too bad, just hit a tree. We're gonna try that Forehand again. But definitely gets flippier on a Forehand. One thing I started to notice when throwing was in the times I would intentionally slow down my arm, the disc flew exactly like the numbers suggest. A slight turn that will fight back towards the end of its flight every time. When I gave it a bit of Anheuser, it would ride it out nearly the entire way, but you could see it starting to come back at the end. Too bad it fights like a Jerry. What made me come to this realization, however, was when I needed to hit gaps. Those times I would focus on hitting the line rather than my typical play of throw hard and pray to disc off Jesus it's good. This hole in particular. In my head, I didn't think I could get out the gap, so I just tried to stay in the fairway, and to my surprise, I hit it perfectly.
That's pretty good.
It does annoy the shit out of me knowing that it's a 6.5 speed now. What does that even mean? Why do we need to bring decimals into this arbitrary number system that isn't backed up by anything? I think the PTSD from AP Stats is still haunting me, but I don't care. It's still stupid. But yeah, here's when I came to that thought process. I don't know, I feel like it checks out.
All right, so I think after some throwing now, I like to throw the Crave when I need to hit a gap. When there's some sort of line that I need to hit, like this fairway, I can't be to the left, can't be to the right, so I slow my arm down. Don't know if that's subconsciously or not, but there's no way I ever throw as powerful, even in my head when I tell myself to, which is why I don't think I'm throwing the Crave hard enough for it to completely turn over. Or I'm fucking crazy, I don't know.
Another day, another opportunity to see if the Axiom Crave is worth putting in the bag. And at this point, I can honestly say there's about a 1% chance. And after my first 3 drives, I clearly still don't know how to throw this fucking disc. Like, what the hell am I even trying to do?
I'm expecting this to turn over fairly quickly. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, not even close to what I was trying to do. Although, I don't know if I can fully blame the disc, as I didn't really warm up, and it usually takes a quick 9 before my timing figures itself out. Apparently 4 holes is all it took, as I finally remembered how to throw this thing. You can't blame me too much though, this isn't even in my bag. I could have fooled some people though the way I was throwing it. Or who knows, maybe it was that I finally had gaps I needed to hit. Based on my hypothesis, that would check out. All I'm saying is I go from fucking up a wide open shot and park the one I need to throw a dime down the fairway. Coincidence? I think not. For my last bit of research, I needed to put the Crave up for some friendly competition to see how it performs. Thankfully, my boy Ken just showed up to the course and he's always down to toss. He snatched an early stroke for me, but I trusted the stability on the next hole and didn't overcompensate with too much hyzer, which is my usual miss. The Crave held the entire way on this big Anheuser, but I always forget that it's only a 6.5 speed, which shows on the distance category. I feel like I could throw my T-Bird 3 a mile farther than this, but I could just be used to that. But that's 3 shots in a row that held Annie the entire way for me. Now I'm not going to say I figured this disc out, not even close. There's still some shots that seem to flip instantly, and other times it fades like a Firebird. The hand feel was decent, super low profile, and the plastic was just gross. Now the times I achieved what I assumed was the ideal flight, it was a pretty good disc. I can see why slower arm speed players would love this thing for tight wooded shots they need something to really trust. The other big factor in this specific Crave is that it's old as fuck. I think I got this Christmas 2017, and once I aced, I retired it. I think it was just an excuse to stop throwing it, because at the time, only nerds threw Axiom. I guess nothing's really changed.
The Axiom Crave? Yeah, that's not gonna end up in my bag. That's a sorry excuse for a cereal. Although I will say, it does deserve a 6.5 out of 10.
Let me know in the comments how you felt about this type of video, and if you want to see more like it. I got some discs I need an excuse to learn, so I'd be down to do it again. If this video happens to get 200 likes, I'll do the Halo Groove next. But for now, if you want to see the discs you should never in your life bag, check out the video right here.
Whew. Oh, I clipped something down there. Dang, I wish I didn't clip that.